Mr. Kemper, I tell you, for the 100th time, you will never marry my niece.
And I tell you for the 1000th time that I will marry her. And right soon, too.
Never!
Your niece is of age, Mr. Vandergelder. Your niece has consented to marry me, and this is a free country, not some private kingdom of your own.
There are no free countries for fools, Mr. Kemper. I thank you for the honor of your visit. Good morning.
Mr. Vandergelder, will you please sit still? Otherwise, if I cut your throat, it will be practically unintentional.
Ermengarde is not for you, nor for anybody else who can't support her.
I tell you I can support her. I make a very good living.
No, sir! A living is made by selling something that everybody needs at least once a year.
Yes, but...
Yes, sir! And a million is made by producing something that everybody needs every day. You artists produce something that nobody needs at any time.
That's not true.
You may sell a picture once in a while, but you'll make no living. Joe, go over there and knock 3 times. I want to talk to Cornelius.
Not only can I support her now, but I have considerable expectations.
Expectations? We merchants don't do business with them. I don't keep accounts with people who promise somehow to pay something someday, and I don't allow such people to marry my niece. No, Mr. Kemper. You go back to your studio, and when you finish painting your sunset on the Hudson, why don't you try hope feeding a family? Or how about love melting a snowman? There is a subject for you.
Very well. You may as well know that I regard any way we can find to get married as right and fair. Your niece is of age, Mr. Vandergelder, and there is no law.
Law! Let me tell you something, Mr. Kemper. Most of the people in the world are fools. The law is there to prevent crime. We men of sense are there to prevent foolishness. It is I, and not the law, that will prevent Ermengarde from marrying you. And I've taken some steps already. I've sent her away.
You sent her away?
Yes, get this nonsense out of her head.
Ermengarde's not here?
Oh, you can find her at Peekskill or Albany, or try Syracuse or Utica. I thank you for the honor of your visit.
Everything's ready, Mr. Vandergelder. Just finished packing the trunk. Oh, lovely Ermengarde's been helping me.
Hold your tongue!
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder. Ermengarde's ready to leave. Her trunk's all marked. Chairez Van Houston, 8 Jackson Street, New York.
Hell and damnation! Didn't I tell you that was a secret?
Chairez Van Houston, 8 Jackson Street, New York. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Vandergelder.
It won't help you, Mr. Kemper. Death! At least you can do me the favor of being dumb.
Such a temper. Lord have mercy.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder?
Go in and get my niece's trunk and carry it over to the station.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder.
Wait. Gertrude, has Mrs. Levi arrived yet?
Don't shout. I can hear perfectly well. Certainly the labels for the luggage are ready.
Have the buggy brought round to the front of the store in half an hour.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder.
This morning, I'm leading my lodge parade down to Speeton Deville. And this afternoon, I'm going to New York. Before I go, I have something important to say to you and Barnaby. Good news. Fact is, I'm going to promote you. How old are you?
33, Mr. Vandergelder.
What?
33.
That all? That's a foolish age to be at. I thought you were 40.
No, I'm 33.
A man's not worth a cent until he's 40. We just pay him wages to make mistakes, don't we, Joe?
You almost lost an ear on it, Mr. Vandergelder.
I was thinking of promoting you to chief clerk.
What am I now, Mr. Vandergelder?
You're an impertinent fool, that's what you are. Now, if you behave yourself, I'll promote you from impertinent fool to chief clerk, with a raise in your wages. And Barnaby may be promoted from idiot apprentice to incompetent clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Vandergelder.
However, I want to see you again before I go. Go in and get my niece's trunk.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder.
Joe, the world's getting crazier every minute. Like my father used to say, the horse will be taking over the world soon. Fine.
I did what I could, Mr. Vandergelder. What will you find in and out of the chair?
Fine. Joe, you do a fine job. The same fine job you've done me for 20 years. Joe, I've got special reasons for looking my best today. Isn't there something a little extra you could do? Something a little special?
Huh?
I'll pay you right up to 50 cents, see what I mean? Do some of those things you do to the younger fellas. Touch me up, smart me up a bit.
All I know is 15 cents like usual, Mr. Vandergelder. And that includes everything that's decent to do to a man.
Now hold your horses, Joe. All I meant was...
I've shaved you for 20 years, and not once you asked me no such question before. And I don't intend...
Now hold your horses, I say, Joe. I'm going to tell you a secret. But I don't want you telling it to that riffraff down to the barber shop, what I'm going to tell you now. All I ask of you is a little extra because I'm thinking of getting married. This very afternoon, I'm going to New York to call on my intended, a very refined lady.
Your getting married is none of my business, Mr. Vandergelder. I've done everything to you I know, and the charge is 15 cents like it always was, and I don't dye no hair, not for 50 cents, I don't.
Joe Scanlon, get out!
And lastly, it looks to me like you're pretty rash to judge which is fools and which isn't fools. People that ate onions is bad judges of who's ate onions and who ain't. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Miss Vandergelder.
The world's going crazy. The asylums can't hold them all. They're flooding the country. Well, what do you want?
Uncle, you said you wanted to talk to us.
Oh, yes. Gertrude, go and get my parade regalia, the uniform for my lodge parade.
What? Oh, yes. Lord save us.
Ermengarde, I had a talk with that artist of yours.
Oh, you did?
Yes, he's a fool.
Oh!
Weeping. You can go down to New York and weep for a while where it won't be noticed. Ermengarde! I told him that when you were old enough to marry, you'd marry someone who could support you. I've done you a good turn. You'll come and thank me when you're 50.
But Uncle, I love him.
I tell you, you don't.
But I do.
And I tell you, you don't. Leave those things to me.
If I don't marry Ambrose, I know I'll die.
What of?
A broken heart.
Never, Ernest. Mrs. Levi is coming in a moment to take you to New York. You're going to stay 2 or 3 weeks with Miss Van Heusen, an old friend of your mother's. You're not to receive any letters except from me. I'm coming to New York myself today, and I'll call on you tomorrow. Who are you?
Malachi Stack, Your Honor. I heard you were looking for an apprentice in the hay, feed, provision, and hardware business.
An apprentice at your age?
Yes, Your Honor. I bring a lot of experience to it.
Have you any letters of recommendation?
Yes, indeed, Your Honor. First-class recommendations.
Ermengarde, are you ready to start?
Yes.
Well, go and get ready some more. Ermengarde,
Yes, Uncle.
let me know the minute Mrs. Levi gets here.
Yes, Uncle Horace.
I don't want an able seaman, nor a typesetter, and I don't want a hospital cook.
No, Your Honor, but it's all experience. Excuse me. This is from your former partner, Joshua Von Tool in Albany.
Oh, Van Tool. For the most part, honest and reliable, occasionally willing and diligent. There seems to be a certain amount of hesitation about these recommendations.
Businessmen aren't writers, Your Honor. There's only one businessman in 1,000 who can write a good letter of recommendation, Your Honor. Mr. Van Tool sends his best wishes and wants to know if you can use me in the provision and hardware business.
Not so fast, not so fast. Tell me, why have you come to Yonkers?
I heard you had an apprentice that was a good for nothing, and you were at your wit's end for another.
Wits end, wits end. There's no dearth for good-for-nothing apprentices.
That's right, Mr. Vandergelder. It's employers there's a dearth of. Seems you hear of a new one dying every day.
What's that? Hold your tongue. I see you've been a barber and a valet, too. Why have you changed your place so often?
Change my place. Mr. Vandergelder, when a man's interested in experience...
Do you drink?
No, thank you. I've just had breakfast.
I didn't ask you whether, idiot! I asked you if you were a drunkard!
No, sir, no. Looking at it from all sides, I don't even like liquor.
Well, keep on looking at things from all sides, and out you go! Remember that! Here, with all your faults, I'm going to give you a try.
You'll never regret it, Mr. Vandergelder. You'll never regret it.
Now today, I want to use you in New York. I judge you know your way around New York.
Do I know New York? Mr. Vandergelder, I know every hole and corner.
Here's $1.
Thanks.
A train leaves in a minute. Take that bag to the Central Hotel on Water Street. Have them save me a room there. Wait for me. I'll be there about 4 o'clock.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder. Oh, but first I'd like to meet the other clerks I'm to work with.
You haven't time. Hurry now. The station's across the street.
Yes, sir. You'll see, sir. You'll never regret it.
I regret it already. Go on. Off with you. 99% of the people in the world are fools, and the rest of us are in great danger of contagion. But I wasn't always free of foolishness as I am now. I was once young, which was foolish. I fell in love, which was foolish. And I got married, which was foolish. And for a while, I was poor, which was more foolish than all the other things put together. Then my wife died, which was foolish of her. I grew older, which was sensible of me. And I became a rich man, which is as sensible as it is rare. Since you see I am a man of sense, I guess you are surprised to hear I am planning to be married again. I have 2 reasons for it. In the first place, I like my house run with order, comfort, and economy. That's a woman's work. But even a woman can't do it well if she's merely being paid for it. In order to run a house well, a woman must have the feeling that she owns it. Marriage is a bribe to make a housekeeper think she is a householder. Did you ever watch an ant carry a burden twice its size? What excitement! What patience! What will! Well, that's what I think when I see a woman running a house. What great passions in those little bodies! What quarrels with the butcher for the best cut! What fury at discovering a moth in the cupboard! Believe me, if women could harness their natures to something more than a house and a baby carriage, they'd change the world. As for the second reason, ladies and gentlemen, well, I see by your faces, you've guessed it already. There's nothing like mixing with women to bring out all the foolishness in a man of sense. And that's a risk I'm willing to take. I've just turned 60, and I've just laid side by side my last dollar of my first $500,000. So, if I should lose my head a little, I have enough money to buy it back. After several years' caution and hard work, I've earned the right to a little risk and adventure. And I'm thinking of getting married. That's right, like all you other fools, I'm willing to risk a certain amount of security for a little amount of adventure. Think it over.
Ermengarde! Ermengarde!
Ambrose, if my uncle saw you.
Shh! Get your hat!
My hat?
Quick, your trunk's at the station. Now quick, we're running away.
Running away?
Shh!
Where?
To New York. To get married.
Oh, Ambrose, I can't do that.
Why?
Ambrose, dear, it wouldn't be proper.
Listen, I'm taking you to my friend's house. His wife will take care of you.
But Ambrose, a girl can't get on a train with a man. I can see you don't know anything about girls.
But I'm telling you, we're going to get married.
Married? But what would Uncle say?
We don't care. We don't care what uncles say. We're eloping.
Ambrose Kemper, how can you use such an awful word?
Ermengarde, you have the soul of a field mouse.
Oh, Ambrose, why do you say such cruel things to me?
For the last time I beg you, get your hat and coat. The train leaves in a few minutes.
Good morning, my dear girl. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Levi.
And who is this young man who is so devoted to you, huh?
This is Mr. Kemper, Mrs. Levi. Ambrose, this is Mrs. Levi.
Mrs. Levi, born Gallagher, very happy to meet you, Mr. Kemper.
Mr. Kemper, the artist?
Delighted. Mr. Kemper, may I say something very frankly?
Yes.
The thing you were planning to do is a very great mistake.
Oh, Mrs. Levi, please explain to Ambrose. Of course I want to marry him, but to elope?
Now, my dear girl, you go in and keep one eye on your uncle. I wish to speak with Mr. Kemper for a moment. You give us a warning when you hear your Uncle Horace coming. Mr. Kemper, I was this dear girl's mother's oldest friend. Believe me, I am on your side. I hope you two will be married very soon, and I think I can say I can be of real service to you. Mr. Kemper, I always go right to the point.
What is the point, Mrs. Levi?
Mr. Vandergelder is a very rich man, Mr. Kemper, and Ermengarde is his only relative.
Oh, but I'm not interested in Mr. Vandergelder's money. I have enough to support a wife and family.
Enough? How much is enough when one is thinking about children and the future? The future is the most expensive luxury in the world, Mr. Kemper.
What is the point, Mrs. Levi?
Believe me, Mr. Vandergelder wishes to get rid of Ermengarde, and if you follow my suggestions, he will even permit her to marry you. You see, Mr. Vandergelder's planning on getting married himself.
What? That monster?
Mr. Kemper.
To you, Mrs. Levi?
Oh, no. I am merely arranging it. I'm helping Mr. Vandergelder find a suitable bride.
For Mr. Vandergelder, there are no suitable brides.
I think we can safely say that Mr. Vandergelder will be married to someone by the end of next week.
Well, what do you suggest, Mrs. Levi?
I'm taking Ermengarde on the next train to New York. I will not take her to Miss Van Heusen's as is planned. I will instead take her to my house. I wish for you to call upon her at 5:30. Here's my card.
Mrs. Dolly Gallagher Levi, varicose veins reduced.
I beg your pardon.
I beg your pardon. Consultation's free.
I meant to give you my other card. Here.
Mrs. Dolly Gallagher Levi, instruction in guitar and mandolin. You do all these things, Mrs. Levi?
2 and 2 make 4, Mr. Kemper, and they always did. So you will come to my house at 5:30. At about 6, I will take the 2 of you to the Harmonia Gardens restaurant on the Battery. Mr. Vandergelder will be there, and everything will be arranged.
How?
Oh, I don't know. One thing will lead to another.
How do I know I can trust you, Mrs. Levi? You can easily make our situation worse.
Mr. Kemper, your situation cannot possibly be worse.
I wish I knew what you were to get out of this, Mrs. Levi.
That is a very proper question. Out of it, I get 2 things, profit and pleasure.
How?
Mr. Kemper, I am a woman who arranges things. At present, I am arranging Mr. Vandergelder's domestic affairs. And out of it, I get, shall we call it? Yes, why don't we? Little pickings. I need little pickings, Mr. Kemper, and especially just now, when I haven't got my train fare back to New York. You see, I'm very frank with you.
Well, that's your profit, Mrs. Levi. But where do you get your pleasure?
My pleasure? Mr. Kemper, when you artists paint a hillside or a river, you change everything a little. You make thousands of little changes, don't you? Nature is never completely satisfactory and must be corrected. Well, unlike you artists, life as it is never quite interesting enough for me. I am bored, Mr. Kemper, with life as it is, and so I do things. I put my hand in here, and I put my hand in there, and I watch, and I listen, and I am often very much amused.
Not in my affairs, Mrs. Levi.
Wait, I haven't finished. And there's another thing. I'm very interested in this household here, and Mr. Vandergelder and all that idle frozen money of his. I don't like the thought of it lying in great piles, useless and motionless in the bank, Mr. Kemper. Money should circulate like rainwater. It should flow down amongst the people through restaurants and dressmakers and cabmen, setting up a business here and furnishing a good time there. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, Mrs. Levi.
New York should be a very happy city, Mr. Kemper, but it isn't. My late husband came from Vienna, Mr. Ephraim Levi. And oh my, there's a city that understands this. I want New York to be more like Vienna and less like a collection of nervous and tired ants. And if you and Ermengarde get a good deal of Mr. Vandergelder's money, I want you to see to it that it starts flowing in and around a lot of people's lives.
Mrs. Levi, Uncle Horace is coming.
Mr. Kemper, I think you better be going. Yes, my dear girl, Mr. Kemper and I have had a very good talk. You'll see, Mr. Vandergelder and I will be dancing at your wedding very soon. Oh, Mr. Vandergelder, how handsome you look! You take my breath away. Yes, my dear girl, I'll see you soon. Mr. Vandergelder, I wish Irene Molloy could see you now. But then, I don't know what's come over you. You seem to be growing younger every day.
Allowing for exaggeration, Mrs. Levi, if a man eats careful, there is no reason why he should look old.
You've never said a true word.
I'll never see 60 or 55 again.
55? Why, I can see at a glance you're the sort that'll be stamping about at 100, eating 5 meals a day, just like, oh, what's his name? My Uncle Harry. At 55, my Uncle Harry were a mere boy, Mr. Vandergelder. I'm in charge of hands, Mr. Vandergelder. Show me your hands. Lord in heaven, what a lifeline!
Where?
From there to there. Why, once right off your hand, I don't know where it goes. I have to hit you over the head with a mallet, have to stifle you with a pillow. You'll bury us all. However, to return to our business, Mr. Vandergelder, I suppose you've changed your mind again. I suppose you've given up on all the idea of getting married.
Not at all, Mrs. Levi. I have news for you.
News?
Mrs. Levi, I practically decided to ask Mrs. Molloy to be my wife.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Oh, dear me. Well, I guess that's just about the best news I've ever heard. Oh, well, I guess there's nothing left for me to do except to wish you every happiness under the sun and say goodbye.
Well, Mrs. Levi, surely I thought...
Well, I did have another suggestion to make, but I won't. You're going to marry Irene Molloy, and that closes the matter.
What suggestion was that, Mrs. Levi?
Well, I had found another girl for you.
Another?
The most wonderful girl, the ideal wife.
Another, eh? What's her name?
Her name?
Yes!
Ernestina. Simple. Miss Ernestina Simple. But of course, all that's over with now that you're practically engaged to marry Irene Molloy.
Oh, I ain't engaged to Mrs. Molloy.
Nonsense. When a man at your time of life calls 4 times on an attractive widow like that and sends her potted geraniums, why, that's practically an engagement.
That ain't an engagement.
And yet, if only you were free. I have found this treasure of a girl, and every moment I felt like a traitor to Irene Molloy, but I tell you, I couldn't help it. I have told this girl all about you just as though you were a free man. Isn't that dreadful? The fact is, she's fallen in love with you already.
Ernestina?
Ernestina Simple.
Ernestina Simple.
Of course, she's a very different idea from Irene Molloy. Ernestina is, like her name, simple, domestic, practical.
Can she cook?
Cook, Mr. Vandergelder? I have had 2 meals from her hands, and as I live, I don't know what I've done that God should reward me with such meals. I'm the best cook in the world, and I know what's good.
How old is she, Mrs. Levi?
19. Well, say 20.
20? Mrs. Levi, girls of 20 are apt to favor young fellows of their own age.
But you don't listen to me, and you don't know this girl. Mr. Vandergelder, she has a positive phobia of flighty, brainless young men. A fine head of gray hair, she says, is worth 20 shined up with goose grease.
That's not usual, Mrs. Levi.
Usual? I'm not wearing myself to the bone, hunting up usual girls to interest you, Mr. Vandergelder. Usual indeed. Listen to me. Do you know what sort of painting she has on her walls? Do you think it's any of these young Romeos or Lochinvars? No, it is Moses on the mountain. That's what she's got. If you want to make her happy, you'll send her a painting of Methuselah surrounded by his grandchildren. That is my advice to you.
What's her family?
Her father, God be good to him, he is the best, what am I trying to say? Undertaker. The best undertaker in all of Brooklyn. Respected, esteemed. He knew all the best people, knew them well, even before they died. And so, well, that's the way it is. Let me tell you a little more of her appearance. Do you hear me as I say, beautiful girl, beautiful? I see her go down the street, you know what I mean, and the young men get dizzy. They have to lean against lampposts, and she, modest eyes on the ground. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Couldn't you come to New York today?
I was thinking of coming to New York this afternoon.
Oh, you were? Well, I wonder if something could be arranged. She's so eager to see you. Let me see.
Mrs. Levi, could I give you 2 ladies a little dinner, maybe?
Well, come to think of it, I don't see where I can find the time. I'm so busy over this wretched lawsuit of mine. Yes, if I win it, I don't mind telling you, I'll be what's known as a very rich woman. I'll own half of Staten Island, if that's a fact. But just now, I am at my wit's end for a little help. Just enough money to finish it off, my wit's end. But I'll see if I can arrange a little dinner. Yes. All I need is $50, and Staten Island's as good as mine. I've been trotting all over New York for you, trying to find you a suitable wife.
$50!
2 whole months, I have been.
Mrs. Levi, $50 is no joke. Oh, I don't know where money's gone to these days. It's in hiding. Here's 20. Here's 25. I can't spare no more. Not now, I can't.
Yes, this will help. Will help somewhat. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm taking Ernestina to that restaurant on the Battery. You know it, the Harmonia Gardens. It's good, but it's not flashy. Now, Mr. Vandergelder, I think it'd be nice if just this once you bought a real nice dinner. I suppose you can afford it.
Well, just this once.
Chicken wouldn't hurt.
Chicken? Well, just this once.
And a little wine.
Wine? Well, just this once.
Now about Irene Molloy, what do you think? Shall we call the subject closed?
Not at all, Mrs. Levi. I would have dinner with Miss
Simple.
With Miss Simple. But first, I want to make another call on Mrs. Molloy.
Dear, me and Miss Simple? What races you make me run. Very well. I will meet you on one of the benches in front of Mrs. Molloy's hat store at 4:30 as usual.
The buggy's here ready for the parade, Mr. Vandergelder.
Go and call Barnaby. I want to talk to the both of you.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder.
Now, do put your thoughts in order, Mr. Vandergelder. I can't keep upsetting and disturbing the finest women in New York unless you mean business.
Oh, I mean business, all right.
I certainly hope you do. Because, you know, it is a very dangerous game you're playing.
Dangerous? Dangerous, Mrs. Levi?
Why, of course it's dangerous, and there's a name for it. You're tampering with these women's affections, aren't you? The only way you can save yourself now is to be married to someone by the end of next week. So think that over.
This morning, I am joining my lodge parade. And this afternoon, I'm going to New York. When I get back, there are going to be some changes in the house. I'll tell you what the change is, but I don't want you discussing it amongst yourselves. You're going to have a mistress.
I'm too young, Mr. Vandergelder.
Not yours! Death and damnation, not yours, idiot, mine! I'm thinking of getting married.
Many congratulations, Mr. Vandergelder, and my compliments to the lady.
That's none of your business. Now go back to the store. Have you got any questions you want to ask before I go?
Mr. Vandergelder?
Yes!
Mr. Vandergelder?
Yes, Cornelius!
Does the chief clerk get one evening off every week?
So that's the way you begin being chief clerk, is it? When I was your age, I got up at 5. I didn't close the store until 10 o'clock at night, and I put in a good hour at the account books. The world's going to pieces. You elegant ladies lie in bed until 6, and at 9 o'clock at night, you rush to close the door so fast, the customers bark their noses. No, sir! You'll attend to the store as usual, and on Friday and Saturday nights, you'll remain open until 10. Now hear what I say. This is the first time I've been away from the store overnight. When I get back, I want to hear that you've run the place perfectly in my absence. If I hear of any foolishness, I'll discharge you. An evening free. Keep on asking for evenings free, and you'll find all of your days free. Remember that. And don't forget to put the lid on the sheep tip.
The horses nearly ran away when they saw him. There he goes. Cornelius, what's the matter?
Chief clerk. Promoted from chief clerk to chief clerk.
Well, don't you like it?
Chief clerk. And if I'm good, in 10 years, I'll be promoted to chief clerk again. 33 years old, and I still don't get an evening free. When am I going to begin to live?
Well, you can begin to live on Sundays, Cornelius.
That's not living. Twice to church and all those trap's eyes in the back of my head the whole time. And that's for holidays. What did we do last Christmas? All those canned tomatoes went bad and exploded. We had to clean up the mess all afternoon. Was that living?
No.
Barnaby, how much money have you got where you can get at it?
Oh, $3. Why, Cornelius?
You and I are going to New York.
We can't close the store.
So more rotten tomatoes are going to explode.
Holy cabooses, how do you know?
Oh, I know they're rotten. All you have to do is to light a match under them. They'll make such a smell that customers can't come into this place for 24 hours. That'll give us an even free, Barnaby. We're going to New York too, Barnaby. We're going to live. We're going to have enough adventures to last us until we're partners. So go get your Sunday clothes on.
What?
Oh, yes, I mean it. We're going to have a good meal. We're going to have an adventure. We're going to be in danger. We're going to get almost arrested. And we're going to waste all of our money.
Holy cabooses.
And one more thing. We're not coming back to Yonkers until we've kissed a girl.
We can't kiss any girls. You don't know any.
I'm 33 years old. I've got to begin sometime.
Well, I'm 17. It's not so urgent for me.
I'll start backing down to me now. If worse comes to worse and we get discharged from here, we can always join the army.
Did I hear you'd say you'd be Wolftrap's partner?
How can I help it? He's getting old. If you go to bed at 9 and open up the store at 6, you get promoted upwards whether you like it or not.
My partner?
Oh, there's no way of getting away from it. You and I will be Vandergelders.
Oh, I may raise a little, but I'll never be a Vandergelder.
Listen. Everybody thinks that when he gets rich, he'll be a different kind of rich person from the rich people he sees around him. Later on, he'll find out there's only one kind of rich person, and he's it.
Oh, pa'al.
No. The best of all will be the person who has all the good things of a poor person, and all the good meals of a rich person. But that's never been known. No, you and I will be Vandergelders. All the more reason for us to try to get some living and some adventure to us now. Will you come, Barnaby?
But, Wolftrap. Yes, Cornelius.
Mr. Hackl, is the trunk waiting at the railroad station?
Yes, Mrs. Levi.
Take a last look, Ermengarde.
Ermengarde.
What? Take a last look at your girlhood home. I remember when I left my home for the first time. Gave a whinny like a young colton. Off I went.
Oh, Gertrude, do they allow out to get married this way? A young girl has to be so careful.
You know, I think I'm going to have this room done in blue wallpaper. Yes, blue.
Cornelius, it's all clear up here. Hold the candle steady a minute, Cornelius. The bottom row is fine. Try the top row now. They're swelled up like they're ready to fight. Holy cabooses! I can smell it up here.
Get into your Sunday clothes, one of you, or go to New York!
Vandergelder. Oh, Mrs. Molloy, I didn't ask that.
But it's what you meant, isn't it? And there's your answer. I shall certainly marry Horace Vandergelder if he should ask me.
I know it's none of my business.
Speak up, Minnie. I can't hear you.
But do you?
Minnie, you're a fool. Say it. Do I love him? Of course I don't love him. But I have two good reasons for marrying him just the same. Minnie, put something on that hat. It's not ugly enough.
Not ugly enough.
I couldn't sell it. Put a sponge on it.
Why, Mrs. Molloy, you're in such a mood today.
In the first place, I shall marry Horace Vandergelder to get away from the millinery business. I've hated it since the first thing I had anything to do with it. Minnie, I hate hats.
Why, what's the matter with the millinery business?
I can no longer stand being suspected of being a wicked woman. Why, there's nothing to show for it. I just can't stand it.
Why, no one would dream of suspecting you.
Minnie, you're a fool. All milliners are suspected of being wicked women. Why, half the time all these women come to the shop merely to look at me.
Oh, no.
They enjoy the suspicion, but they aren't certain. If they were certain I was a wicked woman, they wouldn't set foot in this place again. Do I go to restaurants? No. It would be bad for business. Do I go to balls or theaters or operas? No. It would be bad for business. The only men I ever meet are feather merchants. Minnie, what are those two young men doing out there on that park bench? Take my word for it, Minnie. Either I marry Horace Vandergelder or I burst out of this place like a fire engine.
But Mr. Vandergelder's not.
Speak up, Minnie. I can't hear you.
Well, I don't think he's very attractive.
But what I think he is, which is very important, I think he'd make a good fighter.
Mrs. Molloy.
Take my word for it, Minnie. The best of married life is the fights. The rest is merely so-so.
I won't listen.
Now, Peter Molloy, God rest him, was a fine arguing man. I pity the woman whose husband slams the door and walks right out of the house at the beginning of an argument. Now, Peter Molloy, he'd even throw things, Minnie, and there's no pleasure in you doing that. When I felt tired, I'd start a good blood-warming argument, take 10 years off my age. Now, Horace Vandergelder, I think you'd put up a good fight. I have a mind to marry him.
I think they're just awful, the things you're saying today.
Well, I'm enjoying them myself, too. So remember why you can, what became of Nellie, yeah.
who trusted in the promise of a drinking man.
Mrs. Molloy, those two men out in the street.
What?
Those two men, it looks as if they meant to come in here.
Well, it's about time someone came into this place. I'll give you the younger one, Minnie.
Aren't you terrible?
Wait till I get my hands on that older one. Mark my words, Minnie, we'll get an adventure out of this yet. An adventure? Minnie, they're coming in here. Let's make them wait for us a minute.
Oh, but Mrs. Molloy might work.
Hurry, Minnie, be quick now.
No one's here. Some women were here a minute ago. I saw them. Hey, that's Wolfchop, all right. Well, we've got to hide inside here until he passes by.
He's sitting on that bench over there. It might be quite a while.
When these women come in, we'll have to make conversation with them. We'll pretend we're buying the hats. How much money have you got now?
Oh, 40 cents for the train, 70 cents for dinner, 20 cents to see the whale. That dollar I lost. 70 cents, Cornelius.
And I have $1.75. I wish I knew how much hats cost.
Is this an adventure, Cornelius?
No, but it may be.
I think it is. There we wander around New York all day and nothing happens. And then we come to the quietest street in the whole city and suddenly Mr. Vandergelder turns the corner. I think it is an adventure, Cornelius. I think it is. There's that Mrs. Levi there now. She's sitting on that bench with him.
What do you know about that? Well, you know one person in New York City, and there she is.
Oh, even if our adventure came along now, I'd be too tired to enjoy it. Why isn't this an adventure, Cornelius?
Don't be asking that. If you're an adventure, you'll know all right.
Oh, maybe I wouldn't. Let's arrange a signal for you to give me. There's an adventure really going on. For instance, you say, a pudding. You say pudding if there's an adventure we're in.
I wonder where the lady who runs the store is. What's her name again?
Oh, Mrs. Molloy, hats for ladies.
Oh, yes. I must think over what I'm going to say to her. Good afternoon, Miss Molloy. Wonderful weather we're having. We've been looking everywhere for some beautiful hats.
Oh, that's fine, Cornelius.
Good afternoon, Miss Molloy. Wonderful weather. We'll make her think we're very rich. Good afternoon, Miss Molloy. Oh, you keep an eye on the street all the time, will you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Have I kept you waiting?
Here, Cornelius Hackl.
Here, Barnaby Tucker.
Perhaps I can help you. Won't you sit down?
Thank you, we will. You see, Miss Molloy, we're looking for hats.
Is that so?
We've looked everywhere. Do you know what they told us? Go to Mrs. Molloy, they said. So we came here. Only place we could go.
Well, now that's very complimentary.
And we were right. Everybody was right.
You wish to choose some hats for a friend.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yes, exactly.
We were thinking of 5 or 6, Lauren Barnaby.
5.
You see, Mrs. Molloy, money's no object to us. None at all.
Why, Mr. Hackl?
I beg your pardon. What an interesting street. Something happening every minute. Pass by and...
You're from out of town, Mr. Hackl?
Yes. Keep an eye on the street all the time, will you? You won't see that at Yonkers every day.
Oh, yes, I will.
Not all of it.
Now, this friend of yours, couldn't she come in one day and choose her hats herself?
No, oh no, it's a surprise for her.
Indeed. You see, that may be a bit difficult, Mr. Hackl. It's not entirely customary. Your friend's very interested in the street, Mr. Hackl.
Oh, yes, he has a reason to be.
You're from out of town?
Yes, we're from Yonkers.
Yonkers?
Yonkers, yes, Yonkers. You should know Yonkers, Mrs. Molloy. Hudson River, Palisades, drives. Some say it's the most beautiful town in the world. Well, that's what they say.
Is that so?
If you ever had a Sunday free, we'd like to show you Yonkers. You know, it's very historic too.
Yes. That would be very nice. Now, perhaps about those hats.
Is there maybe Mr. Molloy would like to see Yonkers too?
Oh, I'm a widow, Mr. Hackl.
Oh, no, Mr. Molloy would have enjoyed Yonkers.
Yes, very likely. Now, this friend of yours, is she light or dark?
Don't think about that for a minute. Any hat you like will be perfectly all right with her.
Really? Do you like this one?
Barnaby, look.
Oh, that's fine.
Miss Molloy, that is the most beautiful hat I ever saw.
Your friend's acting very strangely, Mr. Hackl.
Barnaby, stop acting strangely. Was Street's kind of empty? Come back and talk to us. Where was I? Oh, yes, Miss Molloy. You should know Yonkers.
The fact is, I have a friend in Yonkers. It's always so foolish to ask in cases like this, isn't it? Perhaps you know him. It's Mr. Vandergelder.
What was it you said?
Then do you know him?
Horace Vandergelder?
Yes, that's him.
Know him? Why, no.
No.
I beg your pardon, but I'm shocked to have him. Where does this door
Why,
lead to?
Mr. Hackl, that's my workroom.
Everything is just so interesting. Every door, every corner, Miss Molloy. Barnaby, notice interesting doors and cabinets. Even interesting coats for ladies, I see. Barnaby, make another table, will you? Precious piece of furniture with a low-hanging cloth, I see.
Perhaps your friend might enjoy some of this new Italian straw. Mr. Vandergelder is a very substantial man and very well liked, they tell me.
A lovely man, Mrs. Molloy.
Oh yes, charming and charming.
Has only one fault as far as I know. As hard as nails, but apart from that, as he said, a charming nature man.
And a large circle of friends.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
The 5.
He comes and calls you here from time to time, I suppose?
This summer we'll be wearing ribbons down our backs. Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm expecting a call from him this afternoon.
I think, Cornelius,
Now,
I think...
to show you some more hats.
Look out!
Beg your pardon, Miss Molloy.
Mr. Hackl, gentlemen, what are you doing?
It's just as well, Miss Molloy.
Mr. Hackl!
How terribly is it, Mr. Molloy?
But really, gentlemen, what are you doing? I can't have this!
Please! Pudding! Pudding!
How well you look.
Dolly, what a surprise! And Mr. Vandergelder in New York, what a pleasure.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Molloy.
Yes, Mr. Vandergelder's in New York. Yonkers lies up there decimated today, Irene. We thought we'd pay you a very short call. Now, you will tell us if it's inconvenient, won't you?
Inconvenient, Dolly, the idea. Why, it's sweet of you to come.
We waited outside a moment.
Mr. Vandergelder thought he saw 2 customers come in. 2 men.
Men! Men, why, Mr. Vandergelder? What will you be saying next?
Oh, then we'll sit down for a minute or 2.
Sit down. There's something I'd like to show you. Mr. Vandergelder, I'd like to show you my workroom, too.
Irene, I've seen the workroom 100 times. I'll stay right
No,
here.
Dolly, you have to. What? I have something for you. Mr. Vandergelder, I want your advice. You don't know how helpless a woman in business is. Why I feel like I need advice every minute from a fine business head like yours. Now I shut the door.
Oh, maybe she wants us to run away, Cornelius.
Certainly I won't go. Miss Molloy would think we're just foolish fellows. Oh, I want us to stretch a minute.
Oh, what are we going to do when Mr. Vandergelder leaves?
I don't know yet, but I like Miss Molloy a lot. I wouldn't want her to think badly of me. I think I'll buy a hat. We can walk back home to Yonkers even if it takes us all night. I wonder how much hats cost. Barnaby, give me all the money you got. But you! My, all the perfumes in the cabinet took my nose. But I like it in there. It's a woman's world and very different.
Oh, I like it where I am, too. I just wish I had a pillow.
Take this coat. I'll roll it up for you so it won't get mussed. Ladies don't like to have their coats mussed.
Oh, that's fine, Cornelius. Now I can just lie here and listen to Mr. Vandergelder talk.
This summer we'll be wearing ribbons down our backs.
Cornelius, can I take my shoes off?
Isn't the world full of wonderful things? There we sit cooped up in Yonkers years and years, and all the time, wonderful people like Mrs. Molloy are just walking around New York, and we don't even know them at all. I don't know whether from where you're sitting, you can see, well, for instance, the way her eyes and forehead and cheeks come together appear, can you? And the kinds of fireworks that shoot out of her eyes all the time. I tell you right now, a great woman is the greatest work of God. You can talk all you want about Niagara Falls and the pyramids, but they're not in it at all. Of course, up there in Yonkers, you used to come into the store all the time and buy this and that. And I said, yes, ma'am, and that'll be 75 cents, ma'am. And I just watched them. But today I have to talk to them. Equal to equal, equal to equal. And to the finest one to ever exist, in my opinion. They're so different from men. Why everything they say and do is so different that you just feel like laughing all the time. Golly, they're different from men. And awfully mysterious, too. You can never really be sure what goes on inside their head. They have a sort of wall around them all the time of pride and a sort of play acting. I bet you can know a woman for 100 years without ever really being sure whether she liked you or not. This minute, I'm in danger. In danger to lose my job, my future, and everything that people find important in life. But I don't care. I'll be a dish digger for the rest of my life. But I'll be a dish digger who once had a wonderful day. Barnaby?
Oh, you woke me up.
Barnaby, we can't go back to Yonkers yet, and you know why?
Why not?
We've had a good meal, we've had an adventure, we've been in danger of getting arrested. There's only one more thing we have to do to be successes in Yonkers.
You're not gonna kiss Mrs. Molloy.
Maybe.
But she'll scream.
Barnaby, you don't know anything at all. You might as well know right now that everybody except for us goes through life kissing right and left all the time.
Oh, well, I've often wondered. Thanks for telling me.
Irene, I must find my handkerchief.
don't tell Mr. Vandergelder.
We're terribly innocent, Mrs. Levi.
Why, who's that?
Barnaby Tucker, just paying a call.
Well, who else is here?
Just the two of us, Miss Levi, that's all.
Old friends of Mrs. Molloy's, is that it?
Well, we didn't know her until a few minutes ago, but we like her a lot, don't we, Barnaby? In fact, I think she's the finest person in the world. I'm ready to tell it to anybody.
And does she think you're the finest person in the world?
Oh no, I don't even suppose she notices that I'm alive.
Well, I'd have to say she notices you're alive in that cupboard, Mr. Hackl. And if I were you, I'd get back into it right away. Someone could be coming in any minute.
Can I help you, Dolly?
Oh, no, I was just blowing my nose.
Mrs. Molloy, I've got some advice to give you about your business.
Advice from Mr. Vandergelder? The whole city should hear this.
In the first place, the aim of business is to make profit.
Is that so?
I've never heard it put so clearly before. Did you hear it?
You pay those girls of yours too much. You pay them as much as men. Girls like that enjoy their work. Wages, Mrs. Molloy, are paid to make people do work they don't want to do.
Mr. Vandergelder thinks so ably. That's exactly the way his business is run up in Yonkers.
Mrs. Molloy, I'd like for you to come up to Yonkers.
Yes. Thank you. I know someone in Yonkers, someone else.
Oh, who's that?
Someone quite well-to-do, and I feel a bit free and easy in his behavior. Mr. Hackl. That's his name. Do you know a Cornelius Hackl?
Cornelius Hackl. I know him like I know my own boot. He's my head clerk.
Is that so?
He's been in my store for 10 years.
Well, I never.
Where would you have known him?
Oh, just one of those chance meetings, I suppose.
Yes, one of those chance meetings.
What? Chance meetings? Cornelius Hackl has no right to chance meetings. Where was it?
Really, Mr. Vandergelder, it's not like you to question me in such a way. Perhaps Mr. Hackl is better known than you think he is.
Nonsense.
Well, he's in New York often and very well liked.
Well, the truth might as well come out now as later. Mr. Vandergelder, Irene is quite right. Your head clerk is often in New York, goes everywhere, has an army of friends. Everyone knows Cornelius Hackl.
He never comes to New York. He works all day in my store, and at 9 o'clock at night, he goes to sleep in the brand room.
So you think, but it's not true.
Dolly Gallagher, you're crazy.
Listen to me, you keep your nose so deep into your account books that you don't know what goes on. Yes, by day, Cornelius Hackl is your faithful, trusted clerk. That's true. By night, why, he leads a double life, that's all. He's here at the opera and all the great restaurants in all the fashionable homes. Why, he's at the Harmonia Gardens restaurant 3 nights a week. The fact is, he is the wittiest, gayest, naughtiest, most delightful young man in New York. He is just the famous Cornelius Hackl.
It ain't the same man. If I ever thought Cornelius Hackl came to New York, I'd discharge him.
Who took the reins from Tinny Lynn's carriage and pulled her through the streets? Who? Cornelius Hackl.
Huh.
Who, dressed as a waiter at the Fifth Avenue Hotel the other night, took an oyster and slipped it right down Miss...
Tell it!
But it was Cornelius Hackl.
It ain't the same man. Where'd he get the money?
But he's very rich.
Rich! I keep his money in my own safe. He has $146.35.
Mr. Vandergelder, you're killing me. Do come to your senses. He is one of the Hackls.
The Hackls?
They built the Raritan Canal.
Then why should he work in my store?
Oh, well, I'll tell you.
I don't want to hear. I've got a headache. I'm going home. It ain't the same man. He sleeps in my brand room. You can't get away from the facts. I just made him my chief clerk.
If you had any sense, you'd make him partner. Now, Irene, I can see you were as taken with him as everyone else is.
Why, Dolly, I only met him once, very briefly.
Yes, but I can see you were taken with him. Now, don't you be thinking of marrying him now.
Oh, Dolly, what are you saying?
Maybe you'll be all right, but think it over carefully. He breaks hearts like hickory nuts.
Who?
Cornelius Hackl.
Mrs. Molloy, how often has he called on you?
Mr. Vandergelder, I'm telling the truth. I've only met him once in my life. Dolly Levi's exaggerating, so I just don't know where to look.
Excuse me, Mrs. Molloy. I need to get that order for Mrs. Parker.
Yes, you must get that off before closing.
I want to send it off by the air, girl. Oh, I almost forgot the...
Oh, no! That made me...
Oh, Mrs. Molloy! Mrs. Vandergelder! Oh, Mrs.
If there's a man in there, we'll get him out. Whoever you are, come out of there.
Nonsense! There's no man in there. See? Mrs. Faye's nerves have just been playing tricks on her. Come now, let's all sit down again.
Levi.
Mr. Vandergelder, what were you saying?
Well now. man in there. I'll explain it all to you another time. Thank you for coming to see me today. Good afternoon, Dolly. Good afternoon, Mr. Vandergelder.
You're protecting a man in there!
Yes, there's a man in there, but there's a very simple explanation for this. But for the present, good afternoon.
Adieu! Adieu! Who's there?
Men, I'll never get over it.
The world's going to pieces! I can't believe my own eyes!
Hello, Mr. Vandergelder. Ernestina's waiting for us.
Mrs. Molloy, I shan't trouble you again, and vice versa!
Irene, what I think of all the interesting things you've done in this room, make the most of it, dear. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So that was one of your practical jokes, Mr. Hackl?
No, no!
Come over here, Barnaby Tucker, you troublemaker. Minnie, there's no need to be afraid. I know all about these gentlemen. You think because you're so rich you can make up for all the harm you do, is that it?
No, no, Mrs. Molloy!
Minnie, choose yourself any hat and come to the store. We're going out to dinner.
Pardon?
If this Mr. Hackl is so rich and gay and charming, he's going to be rich and gay and charming to us. He dines 3 times a week at the Harmonia Gardens restaurant, does he? Well, he's taking us there now.
Why, Mrs. Molloy, are you sure it's safe?
Hold your tongue, Minnie. We're in so much of a position we can put these men into jail if they so much speak.
Jail, Mrs. Molloy!
Jail!
This is everything I tell him to do. Minnie, we've been respectable for years. Now we're in disgrace. We might as well make the most of it. Come into the workroom with me. I know some ways we can perk up our appearance. Gentlemen, we'll be back in a minute.
Mrs. Molloy, I hear there's an awfully good restaurant at the railway station.
Railway station? Railway station? No, sir, certainly not. You're going to give us good dinner in the heart of the fashionable world. And don't you remember that you made us lose our reputations and now the fashionable world's the only place we can eat?
She's angry at us, Cornelius. Maybe we better run away now.
No, I'm going to go through this, even if it kills me. Barnaby, a woman like that, a man could consent to go back to Yonkers and be a success.
All I know is no woman's gonna make a success out of me.
Jail or no jail, we're going to take those ladies out to dinner, so grit your teeth.
Gentlemen, the cabs are at the corner, so forward march.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Molloy, is it far to the restaurant? Couldn't we walk?
Minnie, take off your things. We're not going.
Mrs. Molloy!
I don't go anywhere. I'm not wanted. I'm not very happy to have met you. Good night.
Mrs. Molloy!
You think we're not fashionable enough for you? Is that it?
No, no!
Well, I won't be a burden to you any longer. Good night.
We want you to come with us more than anything in the world, Mrs. Molloy.
No, you don't! Look at you! Look at the pair of them, Minnie! Scouting, both of them!
Please, Mrs. Molloy!
Then go on! Smile! Smile! No, that's not enough. Minnie, you come with me and we'll get our own supper.
Smile, Barnaby, you louts!
My face can't smell any stronger than this.
Then do something. Show some interest. Do something lively. Sing.
Sing? I can't sing. Really, I can't.
Minnie, we're wasting our time. They don't want us.
Barnaby, what can you sing? Miss Molloy, all we know are sad songs.
That doesn't matter. If you want us to come with you, you've got to sing something.
Tinting tonight, tinting tonight, tinting on the old campground. Tinting tonight, tinting tonight, tinting on the old campground.
We'll come. You boys go ahead. Minnie, you lock the front door. I'll get the workroom.
Why, Mrs. Molloy, you're crying.
Minnie, the world is full of wonderful things. Now watch me, dear, and tell me if I'm having good
Now hear what I say. I don't want you to make any mistakes. I want a table for 3.
For 3.
There'll be 2 ladies and myself.
That's a bad combination, Mr. Vandergelder. You'll regret it.
And I want a chicken.
A chicken? You'll regret it.
Hold your tongue. Write it down. Chicken.
Yes, sir.
Chicken Esterhazy, chicken hunter style, chicken a la creme.
A chicken like everybody else has. And with the chicken, I want a bottle of wine.
Moselle, Chablis, Beaujolais.
He doesn't understand English, Mr. Vandergelder. You better speak louder.
W-I-N-E.
Fine.
Fine. And I want this table removed. We'll eat at that table alone.
There are some people coming in here now, Mr. Vandergelder.
Oh, it's my niece and that artist. Hey! What are they doing here? The traitors! The scoundrels!
Mr. Vandergelder, remember what Napoleon said.
And there's Mrs. Levi, too. Let me get my hands on them.
Remember what Napoleon said, Mr. Vandergelder.
Napoleon said what?
First, observe the enemy. Hide, listen, hear what they're planning. Be a Napoleon, sir. Outsmart them, Mr. Vandergelder.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Now, Ermengarde, there's nothing wicked about eating in a restaurant. There's nothing wicked about being in New York. Clergymen just like to say those things to fill out their sermons.
Oh, but I don't want to eat in a public restaurant like this.
That's all right, my dear girl. There's some nice, lovely private rooms upstairs meant for shy, timid girls like us.
Stack, I want to write a note.
Oh, yes, excuse me.
Go and call that cabman in here. I want to talk to him.
No one asks advice of a cabman, Mr. Vandergelder. They've seen so much of life, they have no ideas left.
Do as I tell you.
Yes, sir. Advice of a cabman.
My dear Miss Van Heusen. Everybody's dear in a letter. It's enough to make you give up writing them. My dear Miss Van Heusen. This is Ermengarde and that rascal, Ambrose Kemper. They are trying to run away. Keep them in your house until I come.
What does he want?
I want to talk to you.
I'm engaged. I'm waiting for my other partner.
I know you are. Do you want to earn $5?
Eh?
I asked you, do you want to earn $5?
I don't know. I never tried.
When those parties of yours come downstairs, I want you to drive them to this address. Never mind what they say, drive them to that address. Give that letter to the lady of the house. See that they get in the door and keep them there.
I can't make people go into a house if they don't want to.
Can you for $10?
Even for $10, I can't do it alone.
This fellow here will help you.
Now I'm pushing people into houses.
There's the address. It is Flora Van Heusen, 8 Jackson Street.
Even if I get them through the door, I can't be sure they will stay there.
For $15, you can.
Murder begins at $25.
Hold your tongue! The lady in the house will help you. All you have to do is sit in the front hall and see that the man doesn't run off with the girl. I'll be at Miss Van Heusen's in an hour or two, and I'll pay you then.
But if they call the police, I can't do anything.
It's perfectly honest business. Perfectly honest. The young lady is my niece. The young lady is my niece!
Yep.
All right.
She's trying to run away with the good-for-nothing, and we're preventing it.
Oh, I know them, sir. They'll win in the end. River's on Up Street.
What did I tell you, Mr. Vandergelder? Advice of a cabman.
Stay! I'll be back in half an hour. See that the table's set for 3. See that nobody else eats there. Then go and join the cabman on the box.
Yes, sir.
Who's your friend?
Friend? That's not a friend. That's an employer I'm trying out for a few days.
You won't like him.
I can see you're in a business for yourself because you talk about liking your employers. No one's liked an employer since business began.
Aww.
No, sir. I suppose you think your horse likes you?
Mom with Clementine, she gave her right feet for me.
That's what all employers think. You imagine it. The streets of New York are filled with cab horses winking at one another. Here, let's go into the kitchen and get some whiskey. I can't push people into houses when I'm sober. No, I've had about 50 employers in my life, and this is the most employer of them all. He talks to everybody as though he were paying them.
I had an employer once. He watched me from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. Just sat there, watching me. Oh dear, even my own mother didn't think I was interesting as all that.
Yes, being employed is like being loved. You know someone is thinking of you the whole time.
See? Here's the place I'm in, Maddie. Take off your things. We'll be here for hours.
Mrs. Molloy, are you sure you like it here? I think I feel a draft.
Indeed, I do like it. We're having a fine dinner right in this room. It's private and it's elegant. Now, Cornelius, we're going to call each other by our first names. Cornelius, call the waiter.
Waiter. I can't make a sound. I must have got a cold and right here. Waiter. No, it just won't come.
I don't believe it. Barnaby, you call him.
Waiter, waiter.
I never thought I'd be in such a place in my whole life. This is what they call a cafe.
Yes, this is a cafe. Sit down, Minnie. Cornelius, Mrs. Levi had us to understand that every waiter in New York knew you.
They will.
Ladies and gentlemen,
How are you, Fritz? How are you, my friend?
I'm Rudolph.
Of course, Rudolph, of course. Well, Rudolph, these ladies want a little something to eat. Do you know what I mean? Just if you can find the time, you know how busy you are.
Cornelius, there's no need to be so familiar with the waiter.
Oh, yes, there is.
Minnie, what do you want to eat?
Oh, just anything, Irene.
Speak up. What do you want?
No, really, I have no appetite at all. Oh, I think I'd like some sardines on toast and a glass of milk.
Great grandsons, what a sensible girl. Barnaby, shake Minnie's hands. She's the most sensible girl in the world. Rudolph, bring us gentlemen 2 glasses of beer, a loaf of bread, and some cheese.
Cornelius, I've never heard of such nonsense. We've come here for a good dinner and a good time. Now, Minnie, have you ever eaten pheasant?
Pheasant? No.
Rudolph, have you any pheasant?
Yes, ma'am. Just sent from New Jersey today.
Even the pheasants who live in New Jersey! Now, Rudolph, write this down. Mock turtle soup. Pheasant.
Pheasant.
Mashed chestnuts.
Mashed chestnuts.
Green salad.
Green salad.
And some nice red wine.
Red wine.
All right, Barnaby, you watch me. Rudolph, write this down. Napolitan ice cream, hothouse peaches, champagne,
Champagne?
and a German band. Have you got a German band?
No, Cornelius, I won't let you be extravagant. Champagne, but no band. Be quick about this, Rudolph. We're hungry.
Yes, ma'am.
Minnie, come upstairs with me. I have an idea about your hair. I think it'd look nice in 2-week horns.
Oh, horns!
Cornelius, they say you have to curry horses all the time in the army.
Oh, it doesn't matter. By the time we get out of jail, we can move right over to the old men's home.
Waiter, what's that? What's that you have?
It's some champagne, ma'am.
Cornelius, it's our champagne.
No, it's for his honor, the mayor of New York.
Shut up on him. The mayor of New York has more important things to be impatient about. Cornelius, open it.
Ma'am, he'll kill me.
We'll have a glass first and die happy.
He'll kill me.
I go to a public restaurant for the first time in 10 years, and all the waiters burst into tears. He'll kill me. There. Take that and stop crying, love. Barnaby, make a toast.
To all the ladies in the world, may I get to know more of them, and I get to know them better.
The ladies.
The ladies. Barnaby, that was very sweet and very refined. For that, I'm going to give you a kiss.
Oh, my goodness!
Dear tongue, Minnie, why, I'm old enough to be his mother, and a dear wee mother I would have been too. Barnaby, this is to you from all the ladies in the world.
Now I can go back to Yonkers, Cornelius.
Look at Barnaby. He's not strong enough for a kiss. I just can't stand it. Minnie, I'm enjoying myself. To think that this goes on in hundreds of places every night while I sit at home darning my stockings. Cornelius, dance with me.
Irene, the Hackles don't dance. We're Presbyterian.
Minnie,
Oh, lovely music!
why, Minnie, you dance beautifully.
Us girls dance in the workroom when we're not looking, Irene.
Well, you thought I'd be cross, and so you didn't ask me to dance? Cornelius, Jenny Lynn and all those other ladies, you see them all the time.
Irene, I put them right out of my
Stop!
head.
What are you doing?
And tables been reserved here. Special orders.
Well, stop right where you are. This party can eat inside. This veranda's ours.
This brand is open to anybody who wants it. Aye. Here comes the man who brought the order.
Stop right where you are. That party can eat inside. This veranda's ours.
Ma'am, my employer reserved this room at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Yous once can go and eat in the restaurant. My employer said it was very important he had this table alone.
No, we're going to eat here alone. Cornelius, knock it over.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a suggestion.
Shut up, you. You're an impertinent, idiotic killjoy.
That's an insult.
All the facts about you are insults. Cornelius, knock the table over.
Knock it over.
This room can't be reserved for anyone. If you want to eat alone, you must go upstairs. I'm sorry, but that's the rule.
No, we're having a nice dinner right here alone. Cornelius, knock it over.
Wait till you see my employer!
wanted a table alone. What's this?
Mr. Vandergelder, I did what I could, Mr. Vandergelder. You wouldn't believe what wild savages the people of New York are. There's a woman over there. Civilization hasn't touched her.
Everything's wrong. You can't even manage a thing like that. Help me off with my coat. Don't kill me.
Speak up, I can't hear you.
My throat again. Barnaby, how's your throat? Can you speak?
I can't make a sound.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll bring our heads together and we'll whisper.
Who are those people over there?
Just some city sparks and their girls, Mr. Vandergelder. What goes on in big cities, Mr. Vandergelder? It's best not think of it.
Has that couple come down from upstairs yet? I hope they haven't gone off without your seeing them.
No, sir. Myself and the captain have kept our eyes on everything.
I'll sit here and wait for my guests. You go out to the cab.
Yes, sir. What's that? A purse? Mr. Vandergelder, did you drop something?
No, don't bother me. Do as I tell you.
A purse? That fellow over there must have let it fall during the misunderstanding about the screen. No, I won't look inside. $20 bills! Dozens of them! I'll go over and give it to him. You're surprised. You're surprised to see me getting rid of this money so quickly, eh? I'll explain it to you. There was a time in my life where my chief interest was picking up money that didn't belong to me. The law is there to protect property, but sure, the law doesn't care whether a property owner deserves his property or not, and the law has to be corrected. There are several thousands of people in this country engaged in correcting the law. For a while, I too was engaged in the redistribution of superfluities. A man works all his life and leaves $1 million to his widow. She sits in hotels and eats great meals and plays cards all afternoon and evening with 10 diamonds on her fingers. Call in the robbers, call in the robbers. Or a man leaves it to his son who stands leaning against bars all night boring a bartender. Call in the robbers. Stealing is a weakness. There are some who say you shouldn't have any weaknesses at all, no vices. But if a man has no vices, he's in great danger of making vices out of his virtues. And there's a spectacle. We've all seen it. Men who were monsters of philanthropy and women who were dragons of purity. We've seen people who have told the truth. Though the heavens fall and the heavens fell. No, no. Nurse one vice in your bosom. Give it all the attention it deserves, and let your virtues spring up modestly around it. Then you'll have a miser who's no liar, and a drunkard who's the benefactor of the whole city. After I'd had the weakness of stealing for a while, I found another. I took to whiskey, and whiskey took to me. And I discovered an important rule I'm going to pass on to you. Never support two weaknesses at the same time. It's your combination sinners, your lecherous liars, and your miserly drunks who dishonor the vices and bring them into bad repute. So now you see why I want to get rid of this money. I want to keep my mind free to do the credit to whiskey that it deserves. And my last word to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. One vice at a time. Excuse me, can I speak to you for a minute?
You certainly can. I want to apologize to you about that screen, that little misunderstanding.
Yes, we're very sorry.
Oh, it's nothing.
What's your name, sir?
Stack, sir. Malachi Stack. If you ladies will excuse me, I'd like to speak to you for a minute. Listen, boy, have you lost... Come here. Have you lost something?
Mr. Stack, in this one day, I've lost everything that I own.
There it is. Don't mention it.
Why, Mr. Stack, do you know what it is? It's a miracle.
Don't mention it.
Barnaby, come here a minute. I want you to shake hands with Mr. Stack. Mr. Stack just found the purse I lost. You know, the purse full of money?
Oh, you're a wonderful man, Mr. Stagg.
Oh, it's nothing, nothing.
I'm certainly glad I went to church all these years. You're a good person to know, Mr. Stack. In a way, Mr. Stack, where do you work?
Well, I've just begun. I work for a Mr. Vandergelder in Yonkers.
Oh, you do? It's a miracle. Look, I know you don't need it, but can I give you something for the good work?
Don't mention it.
Take that.
Don't mention it.
Oh, and that.
I'd better be going.
Oh, here and that.
No, I might get to like them.
Irene, I feel a lot better about everything. I feel so well that I'm going to tell the truth.
Many, I'd forgotten men get so drunk differently from women. All right, what's the truth?
If I tell the truth, will you let me put my arm around your waist?
Oh my goodness!
Oh, hold your tongue, Minnie. All right, I'll let you put your arm around my waist just this once to show it can be done in a gentlemanly way. But remember, a corset's a corset.
You're a wonderful person, Mrs. Molloy.
Thank you. That's enough. Now what's the truth?
Irene, I'm not as rich as Mrs. Levi said I was.
Not rich!
I almost never came to New York. And I'm not like how she said I was bad. And I think you ought to know that at this very minute, Mr. Vandergelder is sitting on the other side of that screen.
Well, I won't let him ruin any party of mine. So that's why we've been whispering. Let's forget all about Mr. Vandergelder and have some more wine. East side, west side, all around the town. Come on, you know the tune.
The tossing rain around the rosies, the London Bridge is falling down.
Good evening, Mr. Vandergelder.
Where's Miss Simple?
Mr. Vandergelder, I'll never trust another woman again as long as I live.
Well, what is it?
She ran away this afternoon and got married.
She did.
Married Mr. Vandergelder to a young boy of 50.
She did.
Oh, I'm just as disappointed as you are. Oh, I can't eat a thing. What have you ordered?
I ordered what you told me to. A chicken.
Oh, I don't think I can face a chicken. Oh, waiter, how do you do? What's your name?
August, ma'am.
August. This is Mr. Horace Vandergelder of Yonkers, Yonkers' most influential citizen, in fact. I want you to see to it that he is served professed and served promptly. There will only be the two of us. Mr. Vandergelder's been through some trying experiences today. Men hidden all over Mrs. Holmes'
You don't have
store.
to tell him everything about me.
Mr. Vandergelder, if you plan on getting married, you might as well learn right now that you have to let women be women. Now we were next observe this, August.
Yes, ma'am.
You've managed things very badly. When I plan a thing, it takes place. Where are you going?
Oh, I just want to see who's on the other side of that screen.
Good evening, Mrs. Levi.
Well, who was it?
Just some young city sparks entertaining their girls, I guess.
Always wanting to know everything. Always curious about everything. Always putting your nose into other people's affairs. Anyone who'd live with you would get as nervous as a cat.
What's that you're saying?
I said, anyone who'd live with you would
Horace
get as...
Vandergelder, get that idea right out of your head. I'm surprised you even mentioned such a thing.
Understand once and for all that I have no intention of marrying you.
I didn't mean that.
You've been hinting around such a thing for some time now. But understand once and for all, but from now on, put such ideas right out of your head.
Stop talking that way. That's not what I meant at all.
I hope not. I should hope not. No, Horace, you go your way and I'll go mine. I'm not some Irene Molloy whose head can be turned by a pound of geraniums. Wait, the idea of you even mentioning such a thing.
Mrs. Levi, you misunderstood me.
I certainly hope I did. No, Horace, if I had any intention of marrying again, it would be to a far more pleasure-loving man than you. Why, I'd marry Cornelius Hackl before I married you. However, let's not discuss it anymore. Ah, here's August with our food. I'll serve it, August.
Yes, ma'am.
However, since you brought the matter up, there's one thing I think I have to say.
I didn't bring the matter up at all.
We'll have forgotten all about it in just a moment, but sit down, and we'll close the matter forever in just a moment. But there is one more thing I'm going to say. It's true, I'm a woman who likes to know everything that's going on, who likes to manage things. You're right about that. But I wouldn't want to manage something as disorderly as your household, as out of control as untidy. You'll have to do that yourself, God helping you.
It's not out of control.
Very well, let's not say another word about it.
Besides,
Take some of that squash, it's good. No, Horace, a complaining, quarrelsome, friendless soul like you is no sort of companion for me. You go your way and I'll go mine.
stop saying that.
I won't say another word.
Besides, I'm not those things you said I am.
What? Well, I guess you're friendless, aren't you? Ermengarde told me how this morning you even quarreled with your barber, a man who's held a razor to your throat for 20 years. Seems to me that that's sinking pretty low.
Well, we had a little discussion, and I said, but my clerks,
They like you? Cornelius Hackl and that Barnaby? Behind your back, they call you Wolf Trap.
They don't.
No, Horace, it seems to me as though I were the last person in the world that liked you, and even I'm just so-so. No, for the rest of my life, I intend to enjoy myself. You'll be able to find some housekeeper that can prepare you 3 meals for $1 a day. It can be done if you like cold-baked beans. You'll spend the last of your days listening at keyholes for fear someone's cheating you. Take some more of that.
Dolly Gallagher, you're a damned exasperating woman.
You see, there's a difference between us. I'd be nagging at you all day just to get some spirit into you. You could be a perfectly charming, witty, amiable man if you wanted to.
I don't want to be charming.
But you are. Look at you now. You can't hide it.
Listening at keyholes. Dolly, you have no right to say such things to me.
At your age, you ought to enjoy hearing the honest truth. You and I are much too old to be talking nonsense to one another.
My age. You're always talking about my age.
I don't know what your age is, but I know that in Yonkers, with bad food and a bad temper, you'll double it in 6 months. Let's talk of something else. But before we leave the subject, there is one more thing I am going to say.
Don't!
Sometimes, just sometimes, I think I'd be tempted to marry you out of sheer pity. And if the confusion in your household gets any worse, I might have to.
I haven't asked you to marry me.
Please don't.
And my house is not in confusion.
What, with your niece upstairs in the restaurant just now?
I fixed that better than you know.
And your clerk skipping about New York behind your back?
They're in Yonkers where they always are.
Nonsense.
What do you mean, nonsense?
Cornelius Hackl's on the other side of that screen this very minute.
It ain't the same man.
All right, go on. Push it. Knock it down. Go and see.
I don't believe it.
All right, eat your chicken. Of course, Horace, if the situation went from bad to worse and you actually became miserable, I might feel that it is my duty to come up to Yonkers and be of some assistance to you. After all, I was your wife's oldest friend.
I don't know how you ever got any such notion. Now understand, once and for all, I have no intention of marrying anybody. Now, I'm tired. I don't want to talk.
I won't say another word either.
Irene, I think we better go. You take the money and pay the bill. Oh, don't worry, it's not mine.
No, I'll tell you what we'll do. You boys will put on our coats and veils. When he comes over here, he'll think you're girls.
What? Those things?
Yeah, come on.
I've got a headache. I've had a bad day. I'm going to Flora Van Heusen's, and I'm going back to my hotel. So, here's the money to pay for the dinner. So here's the money. I've lost my purse!
Impossible! I can't imagine you without it.
It's been stolen. Or I left it in the cab. What am I going to do? I'm new at the hotel. They don't know me. I've never been here before. Stop eating that chicken. I can't pay for it.
Horace, I'll be able to find some money. Sit down and calm yourself.
Dolly Gallagher, I gave you $25 this morning.
I haven't a cent. I gave it all to my lawyer. We can borrow from Ambrose Kemper upstairs.
I wouldn't take it.
Cornelius Hackl will lend it to us.
He's in Yonkers!
Is that Mr. Vandergelder's purse?
I didn't know it myself. I thought it was just money wandering around loose that didn't belong to anybody.
Goodness, that's what politicians say.
Lovely girl. How did you say that way?
Cornelius, I will teach you to dance in a few minutes. Why, he won't even recognize you.
Barnaby, it's the easiest thing in the world. Horace, you danced with me at your wedding, and you danced with me at mine. Do you remember it?
No. Yes.
You were a good dancer then. Don't confess to me that you're too old to dance now.
I'm not too old. I just don't want to dance.
Listen to that music.
Hey! Hackl! You're discharged! Not a word! You're fired! Where's that idiot Barnaby Tucker?
To who? To that cruel uncle of hers, of course. To Horace Vandergelder, and to everyone else who tries to separate young lovers. Young lovers have enough to contend with as it is. Who should know that better than I? No one. Story of my life. There, now you're Cal, quick.
No, I don't see anything.
There, what did I tell you? Everything is imagination, illusion.
Surely, if they've changed their plans, Mr. Vandergelder would have sent you a message about it.
Oh, I know what's the matter. That poor child probably thought she was coming to another prison, to another tyrant. If she'd known that I was her friend and a friend of all young lovers, she'd be here by now. Oh, yes, she would. Her life shall not be crossed with disappointments and obstacles as, cook, a minute ago my smelling salts were on this table and now they completely disappeared.
Why, there they are, ma'am, right there in your hand.
Goodness, how did they get there? I want to inquire. Stranger things have happened.
I suppose Mr. Vandergelder was sending her down with someone.
Two can go astray as easily as... Achoo!
God bless you. Now here's a carriage stopping.
Well, going up the mid is probably... Achoo! God bless you! It almost sounds as though I heard voices.
I don't want to come in. It's a free country, I tell you.
Forward, march!
In you go. We have orders.
You can't make a person go when he doesn't want to go.
Begging your pardon, ma'am. Are you a Miss Van Heusen? Yes, I am, unfortunately. What's all this noise about? There are two people here that Mr. Vandergelder said must be brought to this house and kept here until he comes. And here's his letter to you. No one has any right to tell me whom I'm to put in my house if they don't want to stay. That's right, ma'am. Everybody's always talking about people breaking into houses, ma'am. But there are more people in this world who want to break out of houses. That's what I always say. Bring him in, Joe.
young lady and I have no business here. We jumped to a cab and asked to be brought to the station, and these men brought us inside and forced us to come inside. There's been a mistake.
Is your name Miss Van Heusen?
Everybody is asking me if I'm Miss Van Heusen. I think that's a matter to decide for myself. Now will you all be quiet while I read this letter? This is Ermengarde and that rascal Ambrose Kemper. I know who you two are anyway. They are trying to run away. Story of my life. Mr. Kemper, you have nothing to fear. Who are you?
I'm Joe. I stay here until the old man comes. He owes me $15.
That's right, Miss Van Heusen. You must stay here and see that they don't escape. My dear child, take off your things. Well, I'll go into the kitchen and have some coffee. You two go out and wait in the hall. I'll send coffee out to you. Cook, take them.
Ma'am, we're not the people you're expecting, and there's no reason to.
Mr. Kemper, I am not the tyrant you think I am.
But.
You don't have to be afraid of me.
But.
I knew you're trying to run away with this innocent girl. Dicky bird! Oh, get along. All my life I have suffered from the interference of others, but you shall not suffer as I did. Put yourself entirely in my hands. Ermengarde, where's your baggage?
Oh, I'll find it in the morning. It's been mislaid.
Mislaid? How like life? Well, Ermengarde, you shall put on some of my clothes.
Oh, I don't think I'd be happy, really.
She's a shy little thing, isn't she? Typical of Harley.
Yes, ma'am.
Go up to the kitchen to run in the oven and get some coffee.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I go and draw a good hot bath for Ermengarde.
Oh, Miss Van Heusen.
Believe me, Ermengarde, your troubles are at an end. You two will be married tomorrow. Oh, my dear, you look just as I did at your age, and your troubles have been as mine. While you're bathing, I'll come and tell you the story of my life.
Oh, I don't want to take a bath. I'm going to catch a cold.
Oh, dear, you won't catch a cold. I'll slap you all over. I'll be back in a minute.
Barnaby, do you think we could jump down from this window?
Yes, we'd kill ourselves.
You just have to stay and watch for something to happen. Barnaby, the situation's desperate.
It began getting desperate at 4:30, and it's been getting worse ever since. Now it's take a bath and getting slapped all over.
Ermengarde, you still got those wet things on. Your bath's nearly ready. You go to the kitchen and put your feet in the oven. What's that? It's the doorbell. I expected your uncle.
Doorbell. It's another man and a girl in the cab.
Well, go and let them in. Now you two come with me.
I don't want to take a bath. I have one on Saturday.
There's some mistake. I'll tell Miss Van Heusen, but there's some mistake.
But I tell you, I am Mr. Vandergelder's niece. I'm Ermengarde.
Beg your pardon, miss, but you can't be Miss Ermengarde.
But I am, and that's my baggage.
How did you do? I'll tell Miss Van Heusen. She won't like it.
You'll be all right now. I'd better go before she sees me.
Oh no, you must stay. I feel so strange here.
I know, but Mr. Vandergelder will be here in a minute.
Ambrose, you can't go.
Ambrose, you can't go.
You can't leave me in this crazy house with all these drunken men in the hall. Ambrose, let's say you're someone else my uncle sent down to take care of me. Let's say you're Cornelius Hackl.
Who's Cornelius Hackl?
You know, chief clerk in Uncle's store.
I don't want to be Cornelius Hackl. No, Ermengarde. Come away with me now. I'll take you to my friend's house, or I'll take you to Mrs. Levi's house.
Why, it was Mrs. Levi who threw us right at Uncle Horace's face. Oh, I wish I wasn't back in Yonkers where nothing ever happens.
What's all this I hear? I told you to wait in the hall. Who do you say you are?
Aunt Flora, don't you remember me? I'm Ermengarde.
And you're Mr. Vandergelder's niece?
Yes, I am.
But he's just sent me another niece named Ermengarde.
But he doesn't.
And who's this?
This is Cornelius Hackl, Aunt Flora.
Never heard of him.
He's chief clerk in Uncle's store.
Never heard of him. The other Ermengarde came with the man she's in love with, and that proves it. She came with Mr. Ambrose Kemper.
Ambrose Kemper?
Yes, Mr. Hackl and Mr. Ambrose Kemper.
Oh.
What's your trouble?
Oh dear, nobody's anybody anymore.
Are you in love with this man?
Yes, I am.
I could see it. And are people trying to separate you?
Yes, they are.
I could see it. Who? Horace Vandergelder?
Yes.
Mr. Hackl, think of me as your friend. Well, I'll go into the kitchen and get one. We can decide later who everybody is. My dear, would you like a good hot bath?
Yes, I would.
Well, when Ermengarde comes out, you can go in.
Oh, Miss Van Heusen.
Why, Mr. Hackl?
Not yet. I'll explain everything.
Mr. Kemper, this is Cornelius Hackl. Mr. Hackl, this is Mr. Ambrose. Perhaps you two know one another?
No,
you don't.
Miss Van Heusen, I know that man is not Ambrose Kemper.
And he's not Cornelius Hackl.
My dear young man, what does it matter what your names are? The important thing is that you are you. You're alive and breathing, aren't you, Mr. Hackl?
Ouch. Miss Van Heusen.
This dear child imagines she is Horace Vandergelder's niece, Ermengarde.
But I am.
The important thing is that you're all in love. Everything else is illusion.
Ouch, Miss Van Heusen.
Everybody keeps asking me if I'm Miss Van Heusen. Oh! You two gentlemen, fabulous. Your color's a good hot bath.
There's the doorbell again.
Well, answer.
It's a cab with 3 ladies. I never saw such one.
You two gentlemen, rest easy. I'll see that Mr. Vandergelder lets his nieces marry you both.
Flora, how are you?
Dolly Gallagher! What brings you here?
Good heavens, Flora, what are these 2 drunken men doing in your hall?
I don't know. Horace Vandergelder sent them to me.
Well, I brought you 2 girls in much the same condition. Otherwise, they're the finest girls in the world. Want you to meet Irene Molloy.
Delighted to know you.
And Mrs. Maddie. And I see you 2 gentlemen are here as well. Mr. Hackl, I was about to look for you somewhere in here.
No, Mrs. Levi, I'm ready to face anything now.
Mr. Vandergelder's downstairs right now. He's trying to pay for a cab without any money.
Oh! I'll help him.
Please, dear, you have to pay the restaurant bills. It seems you have hundreds of dollars there.
This is Mr. Vandergelder's very own Percy last.
I'll take that, dear. Here, you help him with this now.
I'll take care of that, Mr. Vandergelder.
Hello, Mr. Vandergelder. How are you?
$15, Mr. Vandergelder.
You're discharged! You too! So, I've caught up with you at last. I never want to see you again. You're discharged. Get out of the house, both of you.
Now then, you. Stop hurting people out of the house. You can shout and carry on in Yonkers. But when you're in my house, you'll behave yourself.
But they're both dishonest scoundrels.
Take your hat off. Gentlemen, you stay right where you are.
Mr. Vandergelder, I can explain.
There aren't going to be any explanations. Mr. Horace, stop scowling at Mr. Kemper and forgive him.
That's not Kemper. That's a dishonest rogue named Cornelius Hackl.
You're crazy. That's Cornelius Hackl.
I guess I know my own chief clerk.
I don't care what their names are. You shake hands with her both or out you go.
Shake hands with those dogs and scoundrels.
Mr. Vandergelder, you have had a hard day. You don't want to go out in the rain just yet. Shake hands with them just for form's sake. You can go back to quarreling again tomorrow.
There! Don't regard that as a handshake. Hey! I never want to see you again.
Miss Van Heusen,
Yes, dear?
do I smell coffee?
Yes, dear.
Can I have some good and black?
Come along, everyone. We'll all go into the kitchen and have some coffee. Horace, you'll be interested to know there are 2 Ermengardes in there.
Ephraim, Levi, I'm going to get married again. And Ephraim, I'm marrying Horace Vandergelder for his money. No, it won't be a marriage in the sense that we had one, but I'll make him happy. And Ephraim, I'm tired. I'm tired of living from hand to mouth, and I'm asking your permission, Ephraim. Will you give me away? Money, money, money. It's like the sun we live under. It can kill and it can cure. Horace Vandergelder's very fond of saying most of the people in the world are fools. And in a way, he's right, isn't he? Himself, Cornelius, Irene, myself. But there comes a time in everyone's life when they must decide whether they'll live among human beings or not. A fool among fools or a fool alone. And as for me, I've decided to live among them. But I wasn't always so. After my husband's death, I retired into myself. Yes, every night I'd put up the cat and I'd lock the door and I'd make myself a little rum toddy. And then every night before I went to bed, I'd say a little prayer, thanking God that I was independent and that no one else's life was mixed up with mine. And when 10 o'clock sounded from the Trinity Church tower, I fell off to sleep a perfectly contented woman. And one night, after nearly 2 years of this, an oak leaf fell out of my Bible. I had placed it there on the day my husband had asked me to marry him. A perfectly good oak leaf, but without color and without life. And in that moment, I realized that for the longest time, I had not shed a single tear. Nor had I been for one moment outrageously happy, nor had I been filled with the most wonderful hope that something or other would turn out well. I saw that I was like that oak leaf, and in that moment, I decided to rejoin the human race. Oh, I heard many hours struck off from the Trinity Church Tower. You and I have known lots of people who've decided, like Horace Vandergelder, not to live among human beings. Yes, they walk among them, they talk to them, they even get married to them. But at heart, they've decided to have nothing to do with the human race. If you are willing to accept to live among human beings, you have to accept that every man has the right to his own mistakes. Yes, we're all fools, and we're all in great danger of creating a great deal of havoc in the world with our folly. But the one thing we can do to save ourselves is to fill our lives with the 4 or 5 human pleasures that are our right in the world. And that takes a little money. Not much, but a little. The difference between a little money and no money at all is enormous and can shatter the world. And the difference between a little money and an enormous amount of money is very slight, but that also can shatter the world. Money, pardon the expression, money is like manure. It is not worth a thing unless it is spread around encouraging young things to grow. But anyway, that's the opinion of the second, Mrs. Horace Vandergelder.
Miss Van Heusen asked me to bring you this.
Thank you both. Sit down and rest yourself.
No, thank you. I'm not tired.
What's been going on in the kitchen?
A lot of foolishness. Everybody's falling in love with everybody. I forgave him, Ermengarde and that artist.
I knew you would.
I made Cornelius Hackl my partner.
You won't regret it.
Mrs. Levi, you said a lot of mighty unpleasant things to me at the restaurant tonight. All that about my house and everything.
Let's not say another word about it.
Dolly, you have a lot of faults.
I know what you mean.
You're bossy, you're scheming, you're inquisitive, you're
Go on.
but you're a wonderful woman. Dolly, marry me.
Horace, stop right there.
Dolly, I know I've been a fool about Mrs. Molloy and that other woman, but Dolly, forgive me and marry me.
No, Horace, I don't dare. No, I don't dare.
What do you mean?
Horace, you know as well as I do that any wife of yours would be expected to keep an open house and have scores of friends in and out all the time. Any wife of yours would have to be used to that sort of thing.
Dolly, you can live any way you like.
Horace, any wife of yours would have to be a somebody. Answer me, am I a somebody?
You are. Wonderful woman.
Oh, you're partial. No, Horace, it wouldn't be enough to load your wife down with money and jewels to insist that she be a benefactress to the crowd of the city. Horace, do you really think I could be a credit to you?
Dolly, everybody knows you could do anything you wanted to do.
I'll try. With your help, I'll try. Oh, and by the way, I found your purse.
Where did you... Oh, you wonderful woman.
It just walked into my hands. I don't know how I do it. Sometimes I frighten myself. Horace, take it. Money walks out of my hands, too.
Keep it.
Horace, I never thought I'd ever hear you say something like that.
Oh, I didn't know anybody was in here.
Didn't know anybody was in here. Idiot!
Come in, Barnaby, come in.
Come in, Barnaby, come in.
Cornelius is going to marry Mrs. Molloy.
Isn't that fine, Horace?
Barnaby, go in and let the rest of them know that Mrs. Levi has consented to...
Finally consented.
Finally consented to become my wife.
Holy cabooses! Hey, everybody, listen! Mr. Vandergelder's going to marry Mrs. Levi.
Dolly, that's the best news I've ever heard. There isn't any more coffee, there isn't any more gingerbread, but there are 3 couples in my house, and they're all going to get married. And did you know, one of those Ermengardes was a dear little girl doll. She was a boy! Well, that's what life is. Disappointment, illusion.
There isn't any more coffee, there isn't any more gingerbread, and there isn't any more play. But before we leave, there is one more thing I think we ought to do. Barnaby,
Come here. I think the youngest person here ought to tell us what the moral of the play is.
Oh, I think it's about adventure. The test of adventure is when you're in the middle of it, you say to yourself, oh, I've got myself into an awful mess. I wish I was sitting quietly at home. And the sign something wrong with you is when you're sitting quietly at home, wishing you're having lots of adventures. So now we all want to thank you for coming tonight and hope in all of your lives you have just the right amount of sitting quietly at home and just the right amount of adventure. Good night.
Mrs. Hart for building these awesome sets.